Hello again, this is Great Work, a podcast and email helping people who do work we care about have better working lives and do more good. With me, Adam Sandel. I hope this time of year is a good one for you. Happy anything you may celebrate. I have a few things for you this time. Done right, most of us, most of the time, can achieve more and enjoy it more by being kinder to ourselves. I took too long last week to realize that I was pushing myself too hard and needed to be kinder to myself. And then one of Oliver Burkeman's emails appeared in my inbox. He's the guy who wrote the 4,000 Weeks book, and his emails are great. I'll put details in the episode notes in case you're interested. This one said, among other things, "So it's worth at least seeing what happens when you ask yourself not what you ought to be doing with your time, but what you'd like to be doing, and allowing for the possibility that the results of that approach may include all the productivity and accomplishment you'd previously been trying to attain by yelling at yourself." And that was just what I needed to hear, and well-timed. In this short series of episodes, I'm reviewing the 7 core principles that underpin great work ideas. And here's the third. Done right, most of us, most of the time, can achieve more and enjoy it more by being kinder to ourselves. This risks sounding trite, a nice idea that can't realistically change your working life. But it turns out that there are changes that almost all of us can make now that will immediately improve our lives and work. Now, 9% of you may be hearing an echo here, as I wrote about this right when I began this Great Work newsletter. But that was before 91% of you had signed up, and this is one of the most life-changing great work ideas, so it's worth coming back to. Most of us are pushing ourselves too hard. In the email version of this, there's an illustration at this point. That doesn't work so well in a podcast, though I'll try to use it as the cover art for this episode. But it's a simple graph, a familiar bell curve. The horizontal axis is effort, how much effort you're making. The vertical axis is results, the outcome of your effort. The bell curve shows results increasing as effort increases, reaching the top of the bell, and then falling away again. And now you have that image in your head. This graph says, work harder and you'll achieve more, up to a point. Lots of research from many perspectives over decades indicates that most of the time, most of us are on the right side of that curve. On the right side, the only way to do better is to be kinder to yourself, to move yourself to the left of where you are. On the right side, if you work even harder, you'll do even worse. Let's be clear, this is not about being a lightweight. If you're serious about achieving more, it's what you have to do. That it feels great is merely a bonus. We know from multiple sources that most of us are on the right side of that curve. One of these sources is 4-day week studies, which have involved thousands of people in all sorts of organizations, commercial and non-profit, all around the world. The working week switches from 5 days to 4 with no reduction in pay. And consistently, business revenues increase, recruitment improves, staff turnover reduces, and workers love it. This is a huge finding. People are paid the same for 4 days as they were for 5. Days off increase by 50%. Teams achieve more. Everyone's happier. And the large majority of employers like it so much that at the end of the trial, they continue it. It's also better for the climate. As usual, I'll put all the references in the episode notes, and they're in the email version too. Much other evidence points the same way. Back in the 1950s, Raymond Van Zelst and Willard Kerr, 2 academics at Illinois Tech, surveyed their colleagues and discovered that those who spent more hours in the office were less productive, fewer publications and inventions than those who worked less hard. The same went for those who put in time at home. Their productivity increased up to a point, but more hours reduced their productivity. A much more recent experiment by Boston Consulting Group, one of the big three US management consulting firms, a notoriously always-on industry, involved protecting people from intrusions or even from checking email after 6 p.m. just one night a week. They saw measurable improvements in the quality of people's work, communication, and team efficiency and effectiveness. If you're interested, the mechanism for this, the reason why rest is so essential to our performance, is partly because it switches on a part of our brain called the default mode network, which plays an important role in our intelligence, the performance of complex tasks, memory, social and emotional functioning, mental health, and more. There's more on that in 2 books I'm about to recommend. So there's now so much evidence from all sorts of industries that we mostly hang out on the right side of that effort results curve. And the conclusion is inescapable. You are likely to achieve less than you would if you went easier on yourself. And the only way to do better is to slow down. So the question isn't whether looking after ourselves better works. The question is why we don't. Some people aren't aware of or don't buy the effort results curve, and that sometimes looks a lot like an excuse for not tackling long-established patterns of behavior. But more often, we know we're on the right, in other words, wrong side of the effort results curve, but we tell ourselves, and I've heard this from people in all walks of life, that it's all very well for other people, but in my job, it just isn't possible to slow down. Let's see if that's true. As a GP who sometimes works in emergency rooms, I have some experience of work where it's easy to think it just isn't possible to slow down. Google tells me that my most searched for great work article ever was about how I used rest and other forms of kindness to myself to get through a really tough week at work. The other job where I most commonly hear people say, but in this job there isn't anything I can do to go easier on myself, is teachers with classes that need to be taught, lessons prepared, kids' work marked, and kids and parents listened to. Well, here are some things that we can all do, including me as a doctor with patients to see, to shift ourselves left on that effort results curve. 1. Start by paying attention to where you are on your effort results curve. If, like most of us, you naturally gravitate towards the right side of the curve, nothing's going to change if you're not aware of where you are. You can't manage your time or your tasks unless you first manage your energy. And focusing on managing your energy may be all you need to do to get on top of everything else. 2. Give breaks the highest priority you can. Protect them at all costs. They are vital to maintaining your function and performance. In jobs like mine, and maybe yours, this may call for occasional tolerance with keeping people waiting, and that has to be okay. No one wants to be looked after by a doctor who's dopey from exhaustion, nor taught by a teacher whose heart isn't in it. 3. Break first. If you know you need 5 minutes to yourself and you also have something pressing to get done, take that 5-minute break first. After that, a little refreshed, you'll do whatever needs doing with a clearer head, more efficiently, and better. 4. Break well. Scrolling Instagram isn't a break. It's a maladaptive waste of precious rest time. Going for a walk outdoors or closing your eyes for a few minutes are true rest. You'll know what does it for you, but as a rule of thumb, if it facilitates daydreaming or meandering thoughts, it's rest. If it doesn't, it probably isn't. 5. Stop working when the day should end. If it's late and you're tired, stop. The rule I used to follow, get today's work done today, has some merit as an approach for keeping on top of things, but only if it gives way to the overriding need to take care of yourself. 6. Build as much rest into your week as you can. If you know you're going to have several heavy days, ensure there's time for you at some point, even if only in the evenings. And time to unwind rather than turning straight to your email inbox or the tax return as soon as you can. 7. Plan leisure. Your time off can easily fill with chores and the administration of life. Each week should have time not just for rest, but within that, for leisure, whatever that means for you. Reading, seeing people you care about, getting outdoors, watching a drama on the TV, or something else. Again, it ain't scrolling. And 8. Let nothing encroach on a good night's sleep. Every night. How does that sound? And if this is a holiday season for you, a time when you reflect on how you'd like to shape your next year, how much of that could you start practicing, turning it into a habit? Want to read more on this? I regularly recommend Alex Soojung-Kim Pang's 2016 book, Rest, Why You Get More Done When You Work Less, because it's been so influential on my thinking about this, my life, and obviously this episode. It's a wonderful book. And a new book on rest was published this year, neuroscientist Joseph Jebelli's The Brain at Rest, How the Art and Science of Doing Nothing Can Improve Your Life. I wondered whether we needed another book on rest, but it turns out we do. It's a fascinating, readable account of what rest does for us and how it can change your life. Winter at Great Work Towers. I'm putting this together on the shortest day of the Northern Hemisphere's year. This winter I've been trying to follow the advice of Carrie Leibovitz in her book How to Winter. I normally dread the winter, but as she explains, that's the problem. I reviewed her book in a previous episode, and so far my winter's been transformed by the approach she suggests. None of the grumpiness that normally colours this time of year for me. But hell, I'm pleased that the days are starting to lengthen again. After a year or two of overworking as a doctor, I'm having a writing sabbatical, mainly working on the Great Work book and just a little teaching and coaching. I'm loving it. I'm currently about halfway through turning the second draft into a third, trying to turn it into something I'd be willing to show to editors and agents. It's interesting as I live this idea that you get more done and do it better by being kinder to yourself, to feel my creativity and enthusiasm return. Speaking stuff. Next month, I'm doing a webinar for Pamela, a UK-based support network for female legal aid lawyers focusing on menopause and perimenopause. We'll be talking about sleep and managing exhaustion while doing tough work. It's at 1 p.m. UK time on Friday the 16th of January, a short talk and then discussion. You don't have to be a legal aid lawyer or in the UK to join. Being a woman with an interest in the perimenopause or menopause is fine. If you're interested, look for the sign-up link in the episode notes or the email version of this podcast. At the moment, my next Great Work speaking thing is at the British Columbia Rural Health Conference in Prince George, BC in May. If you want me to speak at your thing, I do this stuff because I enjoy it, not as an earner, head to adamsandel.com/speaking. The year ahead. So, for the last few years, I've worked as a doctor at a clinic and hospital on a remote Indigenous reserve, or reservation in US English, on an island in the Canadian Pacific Ocean. I'll be picking up my stethoscope again in February, also on a reserve on a beautiful Pacific island, but this time just a few miles from home. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to do the work I do. This time last year, this Great Work newsletter had about 500 readers. We now have about 1,800 plus listeners to this now professionally edited podcast version. Thanks, Bren. That's still a long way short of the platform I need for a heavyweight publisher to be interested in the book, and that makes it hard for introverted folk who don't like social media to get published. So if you find anything useful here and there's anything you can do to spread the word, I'd be hugely grateful. Meanwhile, thanks so much for being part of this, for listening to these podcasts. I don't take it lightly that you do that. I wish you serenity and success in your meaningful work in 2026. That's it for this time. Thanks to Bren Russell for his skillful editing, and a big thanks to you for being part of this great work community. If you're listening on a podcast app or YouTube, you can also sign up for the emails at www.adamsandel.com. That's adamsandell.com. That way, the podcasts land straight in your inbox with a version you can read if you prefer. And that's the link to share if you know anyone else who might be interested. Thank you so much for listening.